down here about a year ago, and we weren't doing shows or anything like that, but we kind of saw the basement and it looked like a good spot to do it. And there were some really big DIY venues in New Haven. There was Crunch House, kind of a small room in a laundry factory, essentially, over in West Haven. And they shut down kind of a little bit. Like recently they stopped doing as many shows. And then there was also Daggett downtown, obviously. After kind of watching so many venues fall, it's kind of like, well, I've got a nice basement and we can have bands through, and I started doing shows and it's been working out really well. It's also kind of a good thing because the only other venues in town are bars, and 18-year-olds can't go to bars. Fish House, yep, that's what I called it, kind of. I used to go fishing a lot. I like fish. It's been an ongoing process, like kind of establishing this and like not going too late, not letting shows go too late. Also like making sure everyone's well behaved, because it's a nice neighborhood and it's, you know, fairly quiet, and so we don't do too many shows like on the regular. We try to keep it to like 2 shows a month. Bands find me now that they realize that I do shows. Like I get a lot of messages from people kind of like, oh, like, hey, you know, my band would really like to do this. And like, I do curate the shows to the point where it's like, I don't want a show happening in my basement that I don't want to go to. And that's kind of the mentality I have, is like, I want to see certain bands. I want to see the bands I like play and whatnot. So I kind of do it like that. It's not like we have everybody play, but we have punks play here. We've got like pretty loud shows, acoustic shows. Like we have a pretty broad spectrum of musicians playing here. People don't really realize how much time and effort and money we put into music, and nobody really pays for music. So I try to make sure at least people aren't paying out of pocket to come here to play. That's kind of the idea, is sustainability for the music scene, for the musicians, and also for, you know, people coming here. Like, we want to keep it kind of low key so we can continue to do this and not have to shut it down too soon. So it's really kind of, that's the key, I think, is sustainability in the scene, and doing something for Connecticut also, because Connecticut can be tough for particularly underage kids going out to shows. Like, there are legitimate venues where you can pay a fair amount of money to see bands, but I find the most intimate performances happen in basements and warehouses and whatnot, where you're like standing right across from the musicians, just having their sound fill your ears. It's nice. I mean, it's really hard to track down exactly what kind of a genre everybody's in these days, because so many bands take influence from so many different genres and bands and whatnot. So the sounds are all kind of getting pretty convoluted, I'd say. Punk shows can bring some older folks out, and some shows bring mostly under, like, you know, 18-year-olds, 17-year-olds out. It all depends on the show. So we've had some wild mosh pits where actually one of my friends jumped off the oil tank right there and crowd surfed over some kids. So we have some like wild shows too, some coming up in June actually, but or just hanging around, maybe having a couple beers, enjoying their night. You know, it's kind of low key for the most part.
Oh, that's so soon! That's like literally the most epic thing that's ever happened here.